About it up. What's going on, people? Let me check out my home screen and check out the scene. About it up with the gangster lean. What's up, D Prince? Exactly. This is what Derek Jones Talks was supposed to be about. I just got caught up in my Batman work that I fucked around in. What up, Poe? What up, Poe? Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Hey D, Prince, did you get my little my email back? It's my birthday, y'all. I'm gonna have to change my light, and I don't want this bright ass light on. Let's see how this works for a second. Damn, man, I got a long ass delay. Yeah, okay. I gotta change some stuff up, y'all, because I don't want this bright ass light on. And my camera sucks at taking in light. I can't wait to get started, y'all, though, because this is something I've really been wanting to talk about for a while. So I can't wait to go in. A lot of people, thank you, Oak Cliff, Tiff. A lot of people have a lot of fucking opinions about this conversation. And I just wanted to throw my little 2 cents in there to see how we could see if we come to some common ground, because I'm under the opinion that it has nothing to do with what you particularly think. It has to do with what particular system that you came up in, and that generally shapes and frames your way of thinking. Like, you have people who think in a Christian mentality. That's because you grew up around Christians, and that's the mentality that was given to you. Like, you just have to accept that for what it is, because it's a reality. Now, I don't disagree with what people do, as long as, like I said before, we come together, common ground. But at the same time, this seems to be a very, very hot topic in our so-called the so-called conscious community and things of that nature. Whereas we want to know, are we really it? Like, can we say definitively that we're it? That what's going on right now is the only thing that'll ever be going on. Like, all the little mundane bullshit that happens on Earth is what's popping. Nothing else could ever be popping. Nothing else could be, you know, like, that just makes no sense to me. And I'm not about to pull out any texts and all this shit on this one. This is just talk. This is just conversation. And really, I wanted to see whoever was up there. Y'all can ring in my birthday with me. You know what I'm saying? And we'll get it started. In my opinion, my humble little opinion, from the information that I gathered, from things that I put together just from living everyday life, okay? In my opinion, there's absolutely no way, shape, form, and fashion that this was popping on Earth is the only thing that's popping. I don't have any factual evidence other than we're sitting on a planet, man, that's sitting in the middle of a fucking universe. So to take the position that what we've got popping is the only thing popping is for the same people who have the notions and opinions that because they have a little bit of common sense, no one else has any. So we've heard a lot said about Pharaoh. We've even heard a lot said about Polite and their whole issue and their whole dealings of talking about aliens and things of that nature. But really, it's not even about aliens per se. You know what I'm saying? It's about, we don't even know where we came from before we came into our mother's womb. Like, really, we don't even know where we came from before we came into our mother's womb. Everything that we take is speculation. Everything that we take and that we go off of something is something that was given to us. Like when you have people that reject any possibility of there being UFOs, that generally comes from a certain place, and that certain place isn't their own train of thought. Now, I'm just from what I've gathered in my small time on Earth, and the people that I talk to about these and have these conversations with, it's really not a I gathered this from a spiritual search type thing. It's never that. It's always well, my girl's closed up. But anyway, it's like I don't believe that because the Lord says this, or it would be in the Bible, or it would be here, it would be there, even though the Bible hints at it, and that's what we'll do tomorrow. I know I'm supposed to be taking a break. I'm definitely not going to post on my birthday, except when we go out. I might give y'all a little live shot of me partying and having fun. But other than that, no. But I'm going to go into that. Like, it says it in the Bible, it hints at it more than a few times. And so where I'm, then you know what, Oak Cliff, see, that's the shit. That's how I start off with this shit. Because when people say shit like in the beginning, like, dog, like, that's, come on, man. Like, you have to have witnesses with personal firsthand knowledge to attest to this shit. Or everything else becomes, not even going to say mythology, but it damn sure becomes speculation. It's all speculation. That's what we're all doing here. You want to know what gets me? You want to know my number one thing right now that gets me, guys? The number one thing that gets me is, how come in the summertime when it's hot, the earth is as furthest away from the sun as it will be? But when it's cold, the earth is much closer to the sun. Like things like that no one can explain. Like I've heard different theories. I've heard different scientists say different things on the same exact subject. And once I hear people saying different things about the same thing, it generally turns me off of what they're saying. Like if two people claim to be literate and there's a book and you're reading the same book and you get two completely different things out of that book, like that's generally an issue with me. The concept of, and I like that, Prince, the concept of time. You know what I'm saying? The concept of time is that, man. It's a concept. It's something that was invented and made up. You know what I'm saying? It's something, as far as I'm concerned, it's something that was made up and invented. It's not something that you can pinpoint on its beginning, on its origin. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way you can pinpoint in the beginning of time. Like, what do you mean? That generally says in the beginning of your time, like, or something specific or whatever, whoever the speaker is talking about. Like, when you hear, when the saying used to go back in the day when Europeans used to say that the earth was flat. You know what I'm saying? Or they said that the earth was flat. Who said that? Was it a certain group of people or was it everyone saying that? You know what I'm saying? Like, these things are common acceptances that we run off of as true. So when you hear someone say something like astral projection or things of that nature, how will you laugh at a person telling a person, if you can astral project, won't you astral project yourself out of a prison? Astral projection is not a physical thing. So therefore, how could one astral project themselves out of the prison? They can astral project themselves, but not their physical portal yet. Is it possible? Who knows? You came here from the whole notion of birth is more than spiritual. The whole notion of birth is magical, because the shit says when a woman is pregnant, she is, the terms are conception or conceiving. And we all know that concepts are nothing more than, use a synonym for concept. It's an idea. So from one single spark and one single idea, you see this reality. So even that in of itself is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So how come it's crazy to say that there's life on other galaxies, there's life on other planets, there's other planets that exist in this vast fucking galaxy that can be just like the one we're living on? That's right. The author always controls the narrative. That's why I always say, though, that's the most important point to be made. That's why I always get on the people that I get on about they editing videos and calling people phenoms and shit. Like, you're creating a narrative. And people who buy into that narrative buy into that narrative. Yeah, no one could ever fucking no one could ever fucking say that they know everything. And y'all know me, the people who know me, and I say the same thing, and I'll never not say the same thing. You don't even know when you were born. Someone had to tell you that shit. So the mere fact that someone had to tell you when you actually came on Earth, out of the womb and separated from your mother, when you fucking came to Earth, someone had to tell you that shit. If someone didn't tell you that shit, you would literally have no fucking clue. You would have a roundabout idea, maybe using science and technology of today, but yo, you don't know when you were born if there wasn't record kept and if no one told you. So knowing something is a very, very difficult task to partake in and succeed in. To say that I know something, to start a task as wanting to know something and then coming to some sort of end, that's extremely difficult, and it rarely happens, especially when dealing with things that you can't have a witness for, things that someone with personal firsthand knowledge can't attest to. That's why whenever someone starts talking about 3,000, 11,000-year-old history, and they're talking about it in a matter-of-fact sense, as though they were standing there, like, dog, now you losing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's too many different variables that go into life. And just what Oak Cliff just said, what Tiff just said, like, yo, one of the things is whoever is the author is controlling the narrative. So then that means whoever the author is and whoever their allegiances are to, and whatever their agendas are, that takes paramount to everything else. That's paramount, because it's like that's the biggest thing. You can't get around that. And that's another variable that is always overlooked. How many of y'all know for sure that the Bible was translated by people who were inspired by God? Like, come on, man. There's too many variables that go into life and life on earth that can literally be used to disprove that shit. Then there's variables that can be used to support it. So it's like, we don't know. Knowing some shit and you acting like you know a bunch of shit, yo, get out of here. There's no way. But tomorrow, you know, I'm gonna go check out Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I own the first copy. It was a wonderful movie. I love all those type of movies. My father was into that type of stuff. He was a big Trekkie. You know, Star Trek and all that bullshit. I didn't really like Star Trek like that, but I was still into Star Wars and all types of space movies. And it's like, it's always interesting to me, because it is a spooky thing, man, being alive. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be more than just what we see. And I think most Black people deep down know that shit. And Dr. Delbert Blair, when I talked to him before, I told you guys I had a conversation with him, and it was like one of the most awesome times of my life. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like I was meeting a fucking rock star or some shit like that. And anyway, the reason why I built with him a lot, it was because of his talk about ufology and all of that shit that people give terms to. I just call it life outside of Earth. And one of the things that he used to talk about a lot was that you know that we come from outside of Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like that we came to this planet. Like, so there was a beginning to this, to black people being on this planet. You know what I mean? And that beginning wasn't even what we assumed that it was. Like, one of the reasons that we were supposed to come here were to be guardians of the galaxy, so to speak. We were here supposedly to be guardians of the Earth realm, guardians of Mars, guardians of all of our particular little system in the universe. So it's like people were dropped, that this planet was used as a testing ground, and that this planet was also used as a sort of a little penal colony, where certain life forms were dropped here and allowed to come here, and in hopes that they would be around the original children of the sun, which we now refer to ourselves as black people, and learn how to be an upright being in the universe. So it's like, it's so many different stories. Like, I've heard completely different stories from that, and then I've heard stories that are similar to that, that are, you would say, more in depth than that. So it's like, you say, I didn't ask for this. The whole shit is crazy. It's just the notion, guys, that life is in your Bible, or life is in your Quran, or you can, that, you know what I mean, like, or that the Quran has the whole notion of what we call life wrapped up, or the Bible has the whole everything. Like, come on, man, that's just, it's crazy. And especially when people start talking about extraterrestrials, and to really believe that these Europeans who've been openly and blatantly telling you people for decades that, oh, yo, like, there is life outside of this planet. You know what I'm saying? And like, we're not gonna go too in depth, but motherfucker, you one of the life forms from outside of this planet. You are not an Earthling. You can be considered one because you live on Earth, but technically, what you are, what you guys are, what we are not Earthlings. And most of that comes from what? What does that come from? Come on now. What does that come from? That comes from how we're brought up. It comes from earthly systems that neuter our understanding. Like, if we were allowed to naturally grow and ask questions, and not just be given an answer, but given a path to find an answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather be given a path to finding an answer than just being me, you know, just given an answer. And then that's that. And then especially when we are giving these answers and we're not even allowed to ask questions about the answer. This is so much fun, guys, building my page over. It's really fun. I feel a lot better about it now. We can actually talk about the things that I want to talk about on Derek Jones Talks Live. And one of them is earthly systems neutering our understanding. The cosmos are deep and vast. This is study that I think that we should be having. Again, just regurgitating things that I've heard, studied, learned over my years. I learned and studied and heard that during the times of so-called Egypt, or Kemet, or whatever terms that they give it, that we used to have these conversations. Yeah, yo, it's like a touching into thing. It's like touching into who you really are. And once you touch into who you really are, you'll understand a lot of this. It's like shit'll just come to you. And there's a lot of things that I don't say because I can't validate it with, you know what I'm saying, what we would call earthly evidence. But I'm like, yo, this shit is true. I remember catching this old dude. I remember Pharaoh talked about him one time before, and he might have mentioned his name. But it's like, that it's so funny to me because I'm like, yo, I seen that shit like years ago. Dr. Phil Valentine had did a lecture on that shit in like 2000, something like that, maybe like 99, 9-ish. And it was crazy. He was talking about it, and he played it. He played the lecture. It's still up on YouTube somewhere, man. It's in one of my histories or playlists. I'm gonna have to find that shit for you. But it's crazy because okay. He's being interviewed by this, I think she was like a British reporter, but she spoke pretty good English. You know how the Brits are. No disrespect, Grandma 3000, you're still my girl. But she was interviewing this gentleman, and he was a suit and tie, older, very older, senior white man, senior citizen, and he was sitting back talking plainly about it. He gave his credentials, or she gave him. I think she read him off. Nevertheless, this guy was like a mover and shaker in white people, European government world. And so he's sitting down and he's having this interview. And what's going on is she's talking, it switches to extraterrestrials. And he starts telling her the existence of extraterrestrials, that they've had contact with extraterrestrials, that there's been extraterrestrials on the planet living amongst us for thousands of years, you know what I'm saying, in human forms and shit like that. And then the conversation has switched to like extraterrestrial ships, like spaceships and things of that nature. And so he started going in about one that they encountered, where when the ship landed and they came up to the people that came off the ship, were the humanoid-looking things that came off the ship, and when they took their helms and shit off, they actually were, you know what I'm saying, human looking, like that you would consider them human. This is the question. So she's asking him, so well, what did they look like? And he's describing them, and he was like, they were very tall and very slender and sinewy, you know, like a natural muscular type slender look. And he was like, they were extremely tall, and he was like, and they were extremely tall and they were dark. And she was like, what do you mean by dark? And he clarified it. He said not dark as in like some dark entity, like they were black people. He was like, they were extremely tall and extremely slim. And he was like, it was two men and a woman. One was a female and the other were males. Two would be considered men because they look like men. And they had on helms and earpieces and all types of shit. And he was like, the shit that they had was organic. He said, like how we have ships and planes now that are literally nothing but nuts and bolts. He was like, it was theirs. It wasn't like that. Like the ship was alive itself. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, all the scientists and shit assumed that that's how they were surviving, going through the cosmos and shit, because they were basically on a flying planet, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? That shit's crazy. So it's like coming across all this information, and then coming across people like Horace Greeley, and coming across the whole European plots of discrimination and systemic racism. It's like, it all makes sense. It all makes sense to hide to black people who we are. It all makes sense to black people for them to hide what we know, what we are capable of. And the only way that I think that we could tap into most of that is through comprehension and doing what we call understanding, having clear understanding. Delbert Blair used to say that all the time. He said, you already made the choice. He was like, now you have to understand why, sort of like the Matrix, he's like, always to say, like, you have to understand why you did it. It's not even, you know what I'm saying, that you did it. The point of you coming to Earth is to understand why you did it. Boom. What does that remind you guys of? It reminds you of Akashic records, that you just come to Earth to have a physical experience just to fucking report back to yourself, ultimately. And for some reason, that just makes perfect sense to me. It just makes perfect sense to me. All the different stories, when you take from everything, then it's like a clear picture starts to be presented to you, and it's easier for you to fucking understand what could be or what should be, for that matter. I'm gonna do my best. Tiff, that whole video that Phil Valentine did, I cannot find that anywhere. I cannot find that shit anywhere on YouTube or nothing. But the old dude that I'm talking about, I seen that shit on YouTube like maybe a year ago or so, maybe a little longer, but it's on YouTube somewhere. But it's a much smaller video clip. Reincarnation is just like, this is the term, like this is what I get. I used to go when I used to go at people with the Bible. I used to say, man, replace the words, use synonyms, and it'll help you understand the shit better. Like when you say reincarnation, I just say regeneration. Oh, that makes one, we regenerate. Okay, so we regenerate. And then incarnation, most people say it with an idea of what it means. Incarnate, incarnia, it means flesh. You know what I'm saying? Incarnation or carnate comes from it's a Greek term. It comes from the word carnia. Remember they used to it even said that shit in that movie 300 when it was talking about they were having Leonidas went to the dudes, them nasty looking shits, to get it counsel and permission to go to war, and the nigga was like, not before the festival of the carnia. You know what I'm saying? Like they're talking about the and then you had the young women in there that lusting all over them, licking all over them shit. There's the carnival of flesh. So incarnia just means flesh. You know what I'm saying? That's all. And coming back into flesh. And do I think that we come into flesh? I'm almost. If we go by what I'm talking, if we go by just spiritual, like your energy, you, the real you that's inside of your body, your vehicle operating it, yes, you've been in this shit before and you'll probably do it again. Yeah. That's all we are. You're just having different experiences. And the part about it is that you don't get to remember, but you know that when you partake in it. You know what I mean? That's crazy, because you know that you can tap into a memory and still, like, it's fucking weird. It's so weird that it's like this language can't explain it. I think it has to be a mental thing. That's why I always said, well, that's why the title is what it is. In this vast galaxy, are we really it? And has earthly systems neutered understanding? Because understanding, comprehension, yeah, deja vu is just you catching up with yourself. Every time I study that word, it's a bunch of different fucking opinions, Tiff, that come back to one thing: you catching up with yourself. It's the same thing why we have to go to sleep. And why do we say, Delbert Blair caught me up with that one day. He was like, why do you say go to sleep? Why do we always say go to? He was like, because you're going somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like you're leaving your body and you're going back to the spiritual plane where you really exist. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they did a great job of showing that shit with y'all know what I'm talking about, Avatar. They did a good job showing that with Avatar, because you are too powerful. We would kill if we had this. You know how, you know that, like, if you don't go to sleep, I'm using air quotes, if you don't go to sleep, that you'll just what? Pass out. Why? Because, and now look at the verbiage. If you don't go to sleep, you'll what? Pass out. You're passing out of your body, because that body has to recuperate from holding God in it all the fucking time. And I'm just using that term, God. Okay? So from holding us in it, it can't hold you in it but so long without it fucking just crumbling. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm still on my journey, guys, to find out that answer to that. Who is I exactly? Am I really I? Or am I just existing as I right here, right now? You know? I'm gonna give y'all one. I'm gonna give y'all just one. Since the chat is small, even though this is gonna end up being a video, but the chat's small, so I'll give y'all one. When my mother passed, my sister was here because both of my sisters live in Mass. So my younger sister, she was down here or whatever, and she it was like she said it was like the day after my mother passed or whatever. So she said she went back to what's going on. She said she went back to Mummy's house. Well, Ma's house. And she went back to Mummy's house to stay there overnight, you know, at her apartment. My other sister was there, my niece was there, whatever. And she said she got up to to go to the bathroom. She said it was completely dark in the hallway, and she was like, she's like, my mother's voice came up behind her and said, Erica, like said her name. You know what I'm saying? And so she said she screamed and cut the lights on and ran and was crying, whatever. And so, anyways, if you knew my mother was a freaking, like, she was a prankster. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we were younger. You know what I'm saying? So my mother had a very good sense of humor. And if you knew my mother, that would be something that she would do, especially to my little sister. So it's like she was fresh out of her body, and it's like I still sense her coming around, but I think it's faded because she's been gone so long, and I think her energy is going to end up either drifting back or coming back to her, you know what I'm saying, in the form of maybe one of my nieces or something or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So like I really, it was stronger though when she first, passed. You know what I'm saying? When she first passed, it was like we would literally speak to one another, like in my dream type shit. But I wasn't really all the way asleep, but we could really communicate, and it wasn't words. You know what I'm saying? So it's a spiritual thing, man. It's all a spiritual war, yo. That's why I said, man, these dudes that we go against, yo, you're going to crumble and you're not going to succeed. It's a spiritual war. And some of us were born to do what we were doing and chosen to do what we're doing. That's why we're doing it. That's why it's happening to you this way. I'm going to take Derek Jones Talks, and I'm going to make it exactly what I planned on making it. It's going to be a place where we come and talk. We're going to come in, we're going to have conversations about everything and anything. Then when you want to laugh and you just want to kick back, then you can come on over to Shame TV East Watch, where we always have an entertaining show for you. And I want you guys to also be on the rise, be on the lookout for me and Kev Gill's show together. We're still behind the scenes trying to put stuff together, but we are definitely working with one another, so you don't have to worry about that happening. It's definitely gonna happen. That's my bro, yo. Like, I fucks with that dude heavy, and I don't generally just be cool with people that I've befriended recently. I don't operate like that, but that dude is 100% all the way. Like, he's him. You know what I'm saying? Like, the same person that you see when y'all watch him is the same fucking nigga I be talking to. It's the same fucking dude I be talking to on the phone. That nigga Pharaoh, yo, as far as I'm concerned, he 100% straight up and down. Like, from the same person you see on that fucking computer screen, when he's talking, when I talk to this brother on the phone, he's the same fucking person. Like, no different, no. So it's like, it's not show. It's like I could talk to them as them without it being some shit about some YouTube show. And so Derek Jones talks, this is what we're going into. In this vast galaxy, are we really it? Has earthly systems neutered understanding? Talk to me, chat. What do y'all think? Has earthly systems neutered understanding, or have these earthly systems done anything to broaden our understanding of this vast galaxy and us being it? What system do you think that that enhance understanding? Because there's so many. You know how many different, we don't know how many different damn versions of Islam there are now. We don't know how many different versions of Christianity, how many different versions of being an atheist. I ain't never, what's the name? When I be on Netflix, y'all, I be watching fucking Shameless, Jimmy Steve, starring Polite. His character, Jimmy Steve, a walking alias. But I'm gonna stay off Polite tonight, not on this show. This show, Derek Jones Talks Live, is not for those guys. Derek Jones Talks Live is for understanding. Y'all good? Derek Jones Talks Live is for this neutered fucking understanding. And that's y'all chat, man. Y'all do what y'all want to do, Sun Moon. That's y'all chat. It's not my chat. I don't own that chat. That belongs to everyone who subscribes and wants to have a good conversation. I got a lot more stuff coming, man. It's just conversation, because I got a lot of shit that I wonder about. They're wondering the same shit that we're wondering about. The same shit. Going through the same experiences, but slightly different. You know, like they could be more advanced in every way and still got to deal with fuck niggas, corrupt niggas. Like they. I remember I heard Bobby Hemmett say that one time. He was like, yo, when you calling these ancestors back, Black Mirror, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out, matter of fact, when I get off. I got Netflix on my Xbox, so I'll check it out up there. But I heard that brother Bobby Hemmett say one time, he was like, yo, you got to be careful when you calling on your ancestors and stuff. Because he was like, you got to understand that your ancestors are your ancestors, and they are your gods, and they will help you. But he was like, yo, you got to still realize that they niggas too. Like, they just like you, they niggas. They black people, niggas. Like, they'll some of them help you and be like, all right. And some of them are cool and want to help. Like, he was like, this is different. It's like, he was like, basically, if your father was your father, the way your father is, that's how that nigga is in the other world. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he gave you an attitude every time you kept bothering him, he'll probably give you an attitude when you bother him now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same shit. Niggas are niggas. And that just makes too much sense to me, guys. It just makes too much sense to me. It makes too much sense. And I think I talked about it one time on my platform when people was trying to call Pharaoh spooky because he said he astral projected. I was like, nigga, I ain't astral project off the planet or nothing, but that shit happened to me in my room. Dark energy, yeah. Arc energy. Okay. That shit happened to me one time, and I wasn't high, drunk, nothing. I had just come home from work. Went in my room. Same shit I usually do every day. Roll my fucking blunt, set that shit down, turn my fucking. At the time, I had a PlayStation. I was still on them. Turn my PlayStation on, and this is when my father had just recently passed. And I was thinking about it heavy, 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 just death itself heavy. And so at that time, I had just been introduced to Delbert Blair. So mind you, I'm like 27. You know what I'm saying? 20, yeah, like 28, 27. And actually 27. I was still 27. And so I was, you know, listening to Delbert Blair's lectures. Like at this time, it was still MySpace. It wasn't no fucking Facebook and all that shit. So it wasn't no internet was popping, but not like that per se. Like everybody wasn't just going to YouTube like we do now. You know what I'm saying? So you could see shit. So I had to buy these lectures. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers was like $35 a pop. And so I'm buying all these lectures with him from Delbert Blair, and I'm throwing it in. And he was talking about it one time about if you really want to know something, you know what I'm saying, that you're a spiritual being, you're not an earthly creature. And he was like, if you really want to know something, just do what we call sleep on it. And he laughed, sleep on it. You know what I'm saying? He said, sleep on it for 3-4 nights in a row. And he's like, and I guarantee you'll get some resolution. And so I was doing that shit. And so I came home from work one day, sat down, like I said, did what I did, turned my game on, you know what I'm saying, turned my little fan on, getting ready to relax, you know what I'm saying, kick my shoes off. And all of a sudden, yo, I felt like I was going to fucking like pass, I'm using air quotes, but pass straight out of my body. Like when I say like it was the fact, it's like, you know how when you get sleepy, like really sleepy, but this shit came fast, so fast that it damn near scared me. And so I laid down on my bed. And I lay down on my bed and I rolled over on my back and my eyes closed. And I swear to you, yo, I was like me, okay? I was up on the fucking ceiling. I was looking. It was a shock. It was like I was me, but it was like I wasn't me. And so I was looking around the room. It was my fucking room. The same wall, same window, same fucking TV. I looked down. This is what's gonna creep you out, yo, freak y'all out. I looked down and I saw my fucking sneakers on the floor. I saw my chair. I saw my fan. I saw my blunt sitting on the table. I saw me laying on the bed. As soon as I made eye contact with me laying on the bed, I zapped back in. It's like I zapped back into my body because I woke up and sat up, and I wasn't sleepy anymore. I wasn't anything anymore. And this happened when I was 27 years old. I am 39 today, and I still remember that shit like it was yesterday. That's what led me down the path. Yo, that's what led me down the path, guys, of I used to be a real arrogant fucking asshole with the things that I know. If you listen to me now in the way that we're talking, you can tell that I'm not an idiot. So I was a really, really, really smart guy as far as studying. I was always up on everything. I have become very lazy with that, and about that experience made me lazy with that. Because I'm like, yo, all this shit motherfuckers talking about is fucking weird, yo. Like, you niggas don't know shit. Like, this shit just really fucking happened to me, dude. After I fucking, it was like 1, 2, 3 in order. I was having the experiences, boom. I met Delbert Blair, heard him say this shit, boom, 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 did it. It happened immediately. And I used to run around in my arrogance. I was one of those people who used to say this stuff. I don't believe in anything. I know I don't engage in belief because belief is for children and belief. I used to be, stone cold arrogant like that, G. Like, I don't engage in belief. And then that experience made me question, what do you really fucking know? And from that moment on, I don't know where it came from because I did not hear anybody say it. But from that moment on, I was like, yo, I didn't even know my birthday unless my mother and father told it to me. Like from that point on, I've been saying this, I've been like this for 12 years. Like, yo, there's no, like, you don't even know when you was born, G. This, like, you don't know, we don't know shit. Yo, that got me. That taught me that death is not what they say it is. That's what that taught me. That's what that taught me. That taught me that death is not what they say it is, and it's something else. You know what I'm saying? And then when that fucking movie Avatar came out, I was like, yo, that's it. And I was like, because Delbert Blair said that shit, Bobby Hemmings said that shit, Phil Valentine, all those brothers used to say that shit back in the day. Like, yo, when you're asleep, you're really awake. And then when you go to sleep, that's the only way that you can operate on Earth is because in that type of state, because you're way too powerful to just be on Earth in a body. You have to operate it in a sleep state. The real you. That's what sent me away with that belief shit. And I still, I mean, with that no shit. And I still don't run around believing everything somebody fucking say. I'm just saying I came off the notion that I know something because I read it in a book. Like, just because I read it in a book. And me and Tiff just talked about that earlier. Motherfucker, the author creates the narrative. So then we have to wonder who the fuck this author is and who their allegiances are to and what their fucking end game is. If there is such a thing, what are their intentions really? Are their intentions different from what they say? Have they been compromised in any way? You know? To be awake here, to be awake is to be asleep, and to be asleep is to be awake. And that makes perfect sense. If I steal a Bible verse, they'll have you thinking salt is sugar and sugar is salt. Make you think, what is it? Bitter is sweet and sweet is bitter. You leave the fuck out of this body. I think you probably laugh at yourself. Like, look at this dumbass who's scared of this shit. Look at you dumbass running around scared of this shit. And you know better. But you don't know better. That's oh man. In this vast galaxy, are we really it? Are we existing on another planet just holographing ourselves here? And once you come into Earth and onto the planet, it materializes and then becomes real as far as Earth goes. Like, who knows? Who can say they know? Neil deGrasse's point of view is the same point of view of every African on the planet before we were fucking indoctrinated with lies and doubt and things of that nature. Is the earth really flat? I don't even think the earth really is. I think the earth is just rock. Then sometimes I think the earth is just a fucking, what do you want to call it, man? Like, I don't want to say a dome or, but in that sense, like a stadium. You know what I'm saying? Like a self-sustaining stadium, you know, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? It's an arena where you can come to and leave and do things here. And I don't know. It's just too much, man. It's just too much I don't know. There's just too much I don't know. One thing I do know is I do wholeheartedly accept the notion, the whether you want to call it rhetoric or whatever, about Europeans being their bodies being used basically to be inhabited by other creatures so that they can materialize on Earth and do whatever they can to try to stop, you know, our progression on Earth, knowing who and what we are and our importance to this planet. I agree with that 100%. It just makes too much sense because your hate for us literally is like the IAT test. I want you guys to go get familiar with that. Just go ahead and type it in, IAT, individual capital letters or whatever. And you'll know there was an Ivy League school that was giving out this examination of Europeans. And the IAT test is very, very, very alarming, the results that came back, if you ask me, especially being, you know, an indigenous American man. But the results are alarming because these people show no empathy. Like literally, even the ones who show empathy, it's feigned. So it's like it's hard to grasp, man, because it's like, you know, most people who are brothers and sisters know that you met white people who have been cool with you 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like up and down, straight up with you, never, you know what I'm saying, try to fuck you over, trick you, whatever. And I think that those Europeans are the most powerful of their race because they're fighting against something that is biologically natural to them, which is to show psychopathic tendencies towards anyone who doesn't look like them, and including them, but especially to those who do not look like them. It's not like they just look at, you know, each other and still they'll feel empathy and sympathy and things like that for people in other races who aren't them, who are in undesirable or precarious situations. But that's not them. It's just that when the only time they exhibit any sort of sympathy, empathy, love, those type of things are when they're dealing with one of their own. Whenever it's someone else, completely different thing. It's absolutely, and they're not using just conversation. That's why I said they could lie and they could say whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is an actual examination and an actual test. You'll see it when you go to the site. It's the IAT test. And we're going to talk about that. So go ahead and get caught up on that shit, because I'm probably going to do a live stream Saturday morning about that. You can go ahead and get, I might try to get in touch with Kev, because that would be a wonderful topic. So with this one, we should make another one on a bigger platform and get some more people in here on this chat, on these discussions. Because I think this is a very good discussion. In this vast galaxy, are we really it? As earthly systems, neutered understanding. And we ventured off a little bit, but we're still all on the same topic. We're still, all of this ties in, man. It all ties in together. So that IAT test is very important for you to understand. It's very important because to me it's like looking at Earth as though it is in a galaxy, and looking at each life form on the planet as a life form that may not be indigenous to this planet, that could have been brought here from other places and developed and made. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know that shit. And what we do know, or the little bit that we do know, is that this planet is far more older than we thought it was, and maybe probably older than we could ever fucking grasp. Like, we don't know. We don't know what the very first human looked like, or what we call human looked like. That person could look just like us. And anybody ain't no evolution, no evolving, no nothing. I think the only thing that changed with us is maybe the stature. But then I don't think that changed because I think we probably always been tall and short and whatever. Different sizes. But I do know I want to talk about it. I want to know about it. I know, what are we saying? I'm looking in the chat, guys. I'm going to try to communicate a little bit. I think Sun Moon, I think that it was a foreseen thing. And I think that from what I heard, and this is coming from more than just some sort of, let me say this correctly, guys. Here we go. This is coming from more than just our perspective, meaning I've heard countless number of Europeans say the same thing that other pro-black, black-loving, black speech, blah, 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 blah people have been saying for years about that very subject. And what they have been saying is it was an agreement. And white people violated the agreement. And it was certain groups of certain brothers and sisters, groups of black men and women who didn't believe that they would keep their word in the agreement from the beginning. So there were people who foresaw this, who foresaw all of this shit. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they foresaw that this shit was going to happen. And that's why, like the Django shit, when you had the fucking Samuel L. Jackson, and he said what? He been on this land since his grandfather's like of course he'd been on that land from time immemorial. You know what I'm saying? Because it was his land. It was his father's land. He's indigenous to this fucking land. But he saw what was going on, and he was one of them niggas like, yo, fuck that. I'm going to stay on my land, and I'm going to just act like a servant to these fucking white boys and let them be in charge. He was probably a white, the Leonardo DiCaprio in Candyland. I'm going to say this. Here we go. Because most people don't know this shit. Here we go. Most people don't know this. Everybody remembers what happened in Django when they went in the room and Samuel L. Jackson was sitting in Master's chair with his legs crossed, drinking, relaxing, and talking to that nigga just like he was a fucking subordinate. Okay? Okay, I'm going to explain to you why. Leonardo DiCaprio's fathers, whoever, who were at Candyland were more than likely the slaves of Samuel L. Jackson's fathers. Y'all didn't get that when y'all seen that shit? I don't make decoded movie videos and shit. I don't watch TV like the average person watches TV. I watch it because I know it's full of shit. So I watch it too. It's fun. It's fun. It's fucking fun. And the elites have access to everything. The elites have access to every fucking thing that's going on. They got access to that shit, yo. They got access to all of that shit. Everybody know it's a known thing. It was an agreement that we made. We made an agreement. It was no different than like that vampire movie with the lichens and the girl, whatever, the Covenant and all that shit. And you had the 3 vampires and they made a fucking covenant. Inception. I seen some of it. Yeah, that's what their hatred. They know that shit, yo. They know that you are the cream of the crop. It's just underworld. Those vampire movies, Underworld. Underworld. That's the movie I'm talking about. That shit had, it was perfectly, it's a perfect example for this. Underworld was a movie where you had 3 primary vampires and one ruled at each time. Like when Marcus was ruling, the other 2 were asleep. Then Marcus would slumber and the female one would come up and rule. You know what I'm saying? I forgot her name. Then Amelia, she would rule. Then Amelia would go to sleep, and then Victor would rule. You know what I'm saying? That's how. That's the agreement that we supposedly made through all the nations to stop all the wars. So what happened was the Moors, what we call the Moors, we all keep saying that, it was just us. Black people were preparing to. That's why when the Moors say we designed this government and da 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 da, well, they're actually telling the truth. Like all this shit was not this current government that you see that they just manipulate everything. You know what I'm saying? But need to fix, yeah. But it's just that concept of them ruling. That's what we were doing with them. Each person was going to have a time to rule. Because we had ruled so fucking long, it was like, okay, it's time to prevent war. We're gonna let each person rule. So boom, we were preparing this government. That's why they made all them treaties and shit that the Moors talk about. That's why I was like, yo, that stuff is real. That's not a lie. Like you can go verify that shit. Now, just because they don't honor it does not mean it's not real. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all that stuff's real. So we were doing that stuff in preparation to hand over government for a time. And so white people were going to be they weren't going to be slaves no more. They weren't going to have to just be servants and warriors for us and shit like that. And they didn't have to fucking be vile and all that shit. They could learn to be human. And that was part of them being on this planet too, supposedly. I don't know. I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's what happened. And once they took over, them motherfuckers, once they gained total power, you saw what happened next. Indentured servitude, all that bullshit, like they immediately turned wicked. And so you had black people who were rich ass property owners who owned everything. They didn't feel like giving that shit up, yo. And they was like, fuck it. Like, look, and they would take their slave. Look, you come here. Look, you gonna act like you own this shit, and I'm gonna hand everything over to you, and you got all this shit, and blah 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 blah. And that's that. That's how that shit happened, yo. Historically, there's historical documents and evidence to corroborate some of this stuff. I'm not saying fact like I was there because I wasn't a witness with personal firsthand knowledge. So I don't know, guys. But what I do know is I'm having a wonderful conversation. I'm mad I gotta get ready to go because I gotta get ready to go to bed. I gotta get up early tomorrow morning. I got a lot of shit to do like early in the morning. So I have to get up. But this has been fucking entertaining. Absolutely entertaining. Yeah, Tiff, YouTube is a fucking university. I don't know why people be trying to say that shit in a negative connotation like it's some fucking, I'm like, nigga, you stupid. Like, just for the mere fact that Boyce Watkins is on YouTube and he's a fucking over a decade, 12-year university instructor, professor. What the fuck? Anything he says is you getting a college education. Anything that he says is you getting a college education on YouTube. If he's saying that shit on YouTube. That shit is sad. Oh man. Yeah. TV really is mind control. That's what, you know, when somebody asked me, my sister, I had just talked to her before I started doing this. This nigga said to me, she said, Derek, have you seen you see the last episode of Empire? And I was like, yo, that shit is just too. That's like I told her before, like I don't like things pushed on me. I don't like pushing. Don't push homosexuality on me. You know what I'm saying? Like just because you gay don't mean people want to see a bunch of fucking men kissing. Because whether you gay or not, that's still kind of weird looking. You know what I'm saying? And it's cool. I'm as an adult. I don't care, nigga. I'm not gonna shun nobody because they gay. Like I keep saying, that's telling something about you if you want to shun. But at the same time, I don't want that shit pushed on me, and I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see that shit. It's like you trying to turn niggas gay. Come try it. Don't. What do they used to say? Don't knock it till you try it. What are you talking about, nigga? I ain't gay, nigga. I can't even knock. Like that's like nigga. Yo, never mind. I know I don't want to eat shit. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean knock it till you try it? I don't care. I'm still not gonna do it. Try. Oh, eating shit is wonderful. Or golden showers. I don't want a golden shower. I don't have to try that to know I don't want nobody peeing on you. Like that's fucking crazy. Yeah, you damn sure working for free. Yo, they always pushing that shit. That's why I always say that shit. I already been down that road because I already know for a fact, nigga, black women don't date white men except if they got like a lot of money and they perceive that they could get shit out of them. Because I ain't never seen no black woman struggling, taking care of no broke ass white man. Only maybe you might see that now for like the last 2 years are the ones who got tricked into that swirling shit, thinking that that shit cool. And I guess it's cool for who it's cool for. I ain't make my platform to knock them, but I do make my platform to knock that you pushing that shit. Now every time you see a white man, there's a black woman right there. Like since when? And I definitely don't want nobody pushing no damn men kissing all on fucking TV and shit. Cause that's some sexual shit that should be fucking in your bedroom and all that shit. You could even fucking hint at it in certain scenes if that's what you want to do. But that shit is weird to me, G. Terrence Howard, you fell all off the map as far as I'm concerned. I'm glad I heard Taraji say she's trying to work her way out of that role. She's sick of that shit. I was ecstatic to hear her say that shit. Ecstatic. Fuck out of here. Them niggas can't take out women. Yo, that shit is fucking hatred, yo. That shit is fucking junk. That shit is because they know white women fucking love black men. And they'll fucking take care of black men, all that shit. They know that shit. They know that white women would rather and prefer to be with black men if they could. Most white women hate white men because white men don't like white women. White men like white men generally. If they don't, they like white. They like what is that shit? That slave sex. You know what I'm saying? Fetish, and then they like because black women got y'all strong and mouthy and shit. So they like that fetish where they could fuck a black woman and make her shut up and all that, like that type of shit. And the rest is just all gay. They only have sex with their women just to procreate. That's why they be all mad now because their birth weight has declined so terribly. You know that European people produce like three babies for every 8 3 live births for every 8. I don't know why they counted in 8s, but that's how I read it, and it was counted in 8s. And it said that they produced 3 live births in 8, and black people produce like black people and Spanish people or Chinese. Well, I think it was Oriental, what we call Oriental people or something like that, or Spanish people. It was one or the other, or what they call Spanish people. It was one or the other, like Mexicans and shit. But that's number 1, and black people were number 2, and black people were number 2 on the list only because we have the highest abortion rate. So if black people didn't have the highest abortion rate, you would be the number 1 reproducer in this planet, on this country. Which I keep telling y'all niggas, they lying to y'all when they tell y'all that we're a minority and white people are such and such percent of the population. No, they're not. Yo, they haven't been reproducing for like decades. Right now in England, they have to they got incentive programs where they're paying men to get married and have children with women. So you know how now they talk shit about you, about black women having kids and just having kids and being on the system, blah blah blah. In England, they want that shit. But for white people, like if you get kids, you get a check. Yeah, we ain't no minority. They lying their ass off, G. Trust me, they full of shit with that shit. They know damn fucking well, you haven't been reproducing in a decade. Well, I mean, over a decade, probably decades. If y'all see that video, man, I'm gonna play that shit one day. I'm gonna play that shit one day. I'm gonna fucking play that shit. It's about them putting on suntan lotion, and it's a UV video. It's about, I'm gonna put it in the link probably tomorrow, and it's a video about how the sun or UV rays, using UV light glasses or whatever, or lens, how basically how the sun sees you. You know what I'm saying? And you can see skin, the decay in skin, future possible decay in skin, and all of that. And I seen that video, man. That shit is so. You saw it, Sun Moon, and them motherfuckers, when soon as the lens hit them, basically the eye of the sun. Soon as the eyes of the sun hit them, like they face look all freckly and spotty. They teeth look fucking disgusting. They look like the creature that what's his name, Elijah Muhammad described, that Yaqub created. That's exactly what they look like. And then these niggas started putting on the fucking suntan lotion, and suntan lotion is really black. So if they're really, that's what that matrix part come in. You know what I'm saying? It's damn D, I'ma find that shit. It's I'm trying to tell you, yo, when they seen that they were painting their face black just to be outside, they had to paint their face. They got to pretend like they black just to come outside. That's why I always tell people, man, yo, they literally are a different like type of creature. They're humanoid. That's why you're able to reproduce with them, because they are humanoid. They're humanoid. where they get them. You know where the fuck they get that melanin. That must have been a sarcastic comment, D Prince. You know damn well where they getting that motherfucking melanin from. The same place they get that melanin to coat them spaceships and shit so it could leave Earth and shit. And them satellites and shit. Oh man, guys. I gotta go to bed. And the Celtics lost. I'm pissed. I knew that shit was gonna happen though. They was gonna lose on the road. Yeah, they got a little bit of melanin. That comes from that again. A lot of things have been facilitated by evil Sinetta type, polite type black people from the past. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a lot that we don't know, and we just have to remember that there's a lot that we don't know, and we cannot move forward assuming that we know a whole bunch of shit. That's the only thing that I say. That's the only problem that I have. That's the main problem that I have with the house of consciousness. Like, yo, you guys were so arrogant about what you know, and you don't know shit. You have Reggie, who doesn't even know who Horace Greeley is, and you claim to be a top scholar. Even though you could find any fucking historian, nigga, and he could have a specific field, he'll know who Horace Greeley is. Like, yo, it's like that type of shit, man. Basically, you just got a bunch of niggas who read some books and come up and regurgitate the shit that they read from these books as though they have invented this train of thought. And if they haven't, they'll pick the most popular leader guy, you know what I'm saying, to that you might like or people might gravitate to and surround him and push him. You know, Dr. Ben, you gotta say Dr. Ben. If you don't say Dr. Ben, then you just don't win. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of shit. So it's like, when you start doing that, it's like, and no disrespect to Dr. Ben again, of course, and I'll always say it, no disrespect to him, because it is not his fault that they chose him to start pushing like everybody, Dr. Ben dick rider now. Like, so I'm not gonna blame him for them fucking house of consciousness fucking demons that fucking be doing that shit, using him. You know what I'm saying? It's not his fault. But it's like, yo, that type of thing, that type of thinking neuters, those are earthly systems or thoughts, man, and they neuter understanding. That's why we have a hard time understanding this vast galaxy and what may be in it. What may be waiting for us if we go out into it and things of that nature. Because they're gonna do this shit one day. They're gonna just send shit off. They probably already been doing that, because I've heard stories about that. I heard stories from the fucking Russian cosmonaut launch when they beat the US launch, when the United States wanted to be the first man on the moon and the first people in space and all that shit, and how the Russians had beat this country by like a year or so almost. You know what I'm saying? So Russia was all ready to go, and boom, launched, and nobody ever said a word of it. Horace Greeley type shit, making sure the newspaper doesn't cover that shit. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that the narrative is controlled so that you really think that the United States is the only one doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? You'll really think that shit. And the cosmonaut shit launched before they're supposed. This is the story. I'm just gonna give y'all. I always tell y'all I wasn't there, but I'm gonna give y'all the story. Anyway, the cosmonaut ship launched before, the Russian ship launched before, and Sputnik, I think it was called. And that shit launched before the United States launched their shit. So anyway, when they got out there, the ship got destroyed and all that bullshit. And they were radioing back down to, you know, the Russian space base. And so anyway, long story short, all of a sudden when they're out there, they're like the Russian astronauts are telling and radioing back to their space station in Russia, like, yo, there's something out here, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some shit out here with us. You know what I'm saying? And it's moving towards us or whatever. And so all of a sudden, niggas get fucking their shit. They all load up in their little suits or whatever, space suits or whatever, and their shit ends up getting blasted. And so they're just floating out. They're talking on the radios, and the woman, it was a female, one of them, one of the Russians, and she's screaming. She's like, "Yo," she's like, "They blasted our ship. It blasted our ship. It blasted our ship." And she was like, "And now they're coming for us." So basically, what she was describing, like the Russians were trying to get her to say, "Yo, what the fuck do you see? Like, what is it?" But she's so hysterical, screaming, "They're coming, it's coming for me. They're coming for us. They're coming for us. Oh my God, they're grabbing them." Like, so something was grabbing these motherfuckers. And then the bitch was like, "Excuse me. Well, I'm sorry, guys, talking about this Russian, whatever." But I have a certain opinion that I have of certain groups of people. Anyway, so she, forgive me, I don't want this show to be like that. So anyway, she starts screaming, like, "Now it's coming for me, now it's coming for me." And that was it. And her radio zapped out, and that was the end of that. Now, this is supposedly a true story. Like I said, I wasn't there. This just comes from a man who's 39 years old today. Happy birthday, me. And from a life of study and gathering information, hearing information, this is what I've come to. And this is that's just another story that I heard. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, she was out there and was like, now it's coming for her, and the shit snatched her up apparently. So it's like this vast galaxy, yo. Are we really it? Is everyone who's seen and experienced different things a liar? I'm not. I know that there's fanatics and people who are shock capitalists. You know, they can't fucking, I don't know. Everybody can't just be full of shit, you know? Everybody can't just be a liar. Comments of fallen civilizations. I don't know about that because I don't know who could validate that. Yeah, just Oak Tip is it's how the sun sees you. Like, if you type that in on YouTube, like, you'll be good. Please watch that shit. And look, did y'all see how happy they were even when they realized that they were painting their face black? Like, oh, we black. Like, it's a natural thing. I look at the naturalness of it all, yo. Some people don't. I do. I look at how naturally they were taking to painting their face black and being black. That's why I say, man, we are in a matrix. This is a matrix. If this world really was, if everything on this world was really revealed, like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, right now, we just talking about how we didn't know that they chemically put shit in sunblock so that it won't show the real color of it, which is black. So they won't have to realize that they're painting themselves black. So now every time we see a white person in blackface, we got them. We got your ass. Like, nigga, you do that all the time when you go outside. It's called sunblock. Why would I be offended about that shit? Why do we get offended about that? Should be why our next talk on live. That's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna pull that video up, and I'm gonna actually share, and we'll watch that shit. Happy birthday, me, guys. I'm about to go. I gotta get up early tomorrow, and I am still up running my mouth, and I know if I stay up any longer. I'm going to be even more awake and then just continue to run my mouth. It has been extremely fun. We have gone well over an hour. I rarely make videos that are over an hour. I generally round them off at an hour because to me, it makes the content better. I'm going to go to sleep. You say you hate. I don't know. We can't hate seeing them paint their face D Prince because you got to realize, man, they just want to look like you, G. We shouldn't hate it no more, and we shouldn't hate it because they do it every day at the beach. No, it's not. It's okay. I'm gonna say it like this. Every black person ain't in the know of being a black person. So he might just be, if he had the knowledge and understanding, he probably would do different. So kind of look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I know it's annoying, Tiff, but they just want to be like you. But yeah, Sun Moon, like they just wanna you're not wrong for that shit, yo. So don't feel petty or don't feel wrong for your own understanding and how your feelings interface with your understanding. So you could I appreciate that, bro. I will. But you could feel how you want to feel. And the white woman she's the best, she's the #1 killer because she's the one that fucking puts you in jail. She could snap her fingers and have a brother locked up. And y'all know this, you don't have to believe me. Do the research yourself and you will see that 90% of the time, almost 90% of the time, that a white woman accuses a black man of raping her, it is 90% of the time found not true. So that means 9 out of 10 times when a white girl says that a brother raped her, she's full of shit. And that's true because all brothers know that white girls are easy to have sex with. And white women should not feel any type of way about that because you are. And if you are promiscuous, you are promiscuous. End the story. What the fuck? It's not a knock. You know? Emmett Till and the fact that it just, I don't know, man. It's just, I could sometimes say I see why some brothers may pick certain white girls who are real cool people and whatever. But at the same time, it's just, for me, I always said I'm too black to be married to some white woman. Like, I'm too black for that shit. Like, the shit I say, she gonna have to totally sound like a fucking race traitor. And not because I want to sound or say negative things about Europeans. I'm only, of course, commenting off their interaction with me and the way they interface with me and my people. Y'all notice how I'm using interface in its inception and its conception. For he is the illustrious Nisut, the evolution of the revolution. Let me get off here, y'all, before I keep running my mouth. Love y'all dearly for fucking with me. Oh, and another shout out to Afia. She was my first one to donate to my GoFundMe, and she did it today. I really appreciate that. I can't wait till that reaches the goal so I could just take it and just maneuver. And I'll show you guys everything, and you could be on the ground floor on that. It's on the homepage of Shame TV East Watch. Subscribe if you haven't. Please subscribe to Shame TV East Watch if you haven't, and share Shame TV East Watch if you haven't. Share Derek Jones Talks Live if you haven't, and subscribe to it. Like I said, my GoFundMe is on the homepage of Shame TV. It was started off by Afia today with a donation of $15, and I appreciate that. She doesn't know how much and how happy I was to finally see it actually kick off. So you can go there and help out if you fuck with me like that. Other than that, guys, it's been wonderful, yo. Day ones are so much fun because we could just talk and chat, and now it's going to be a wonderful video. In this vast galaxy, are we really it? No, I do not think so. And as earthly systems, neutered understanding, I completely concur that they have. I don't, because I can't name any earthly systems that totally enhance this line of thought. Of even the ones that are still structured into just ufology and all that type of stuff. So once something gets an ology or ism or all that stuff, I kind of shy away from it and just continue to go natural with it, so I can find out the best course for myself of understanding what really happened and just deal with that as that, because I will never know because I wasn't there, or I could have been there and I know all this shit, but I'm just never going to know it like this because I'm not to know it like this, because it would fuck up the whole purpose of being here and sending back information on what it's like to be here.